last and final speaker. I hope we can keep the comments relatively short so we have some time for questions. Although I am not sure if I should be your entire bio, very interesting bio as it is. So I will try to summarize it. Roger Bertozzi is Vice President of the Energypact Foundation and has deep and extensive experience in government affairs, institutional relations, international conferences, and multilateral negotiations. I will leave it at that, if you don't mind. There's more detail in the past. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies, gentlemen. Actually, I'm not sure there's still excellencies in the room, but for sure there's a lot of excellence around. I took the liberty to take a bit of a naive philosophical approach to the concept of cyber diplomacy and confidence building between states. That was the title of this panel, and I will share with you some considerations about different ways to build up kind of multilateral architecture when it comes to cyber security and cyber diplomacy. We entered an era unique in human history where mankind faces simultaneously several global and existential threats. I call them pan-threats, each of them capable of devastating effects, if not of human extinction. Technological progress is, in a sense, working to make them even more systemic. These postmodern pan-threats are cyber attacks, pandemics, global financial collapse, nuclear conflicts, climate change, natural or man-made disasters. If you want a bit of science fiction, we can add giant asteroid impact, human genocide by autonomous robotic weapons powered with artificial intelligence, or human eradication by robots and swarms of nanorobots competing against us for the control of Earth as our territory. Whatever hierarchy we put between them, the fact is that these global and existential threats constrained our international community to reinvent its culture of sovereignty and confrontation and shift to a culture of convergence and contribution on which our resilience or survival now depends. Interstate relations and the art of diplomacy have no other choice than to adapt if we want to avoid mass-scale catastrophes in the course of the century. The progressive and fast immersion of most of humanity into the digital sphere, the generalization of smart structures and networks, and the ultra-speed dissemination of connected devices and of the Internet of Things puts cybersecurity at the very heart of any strategic approach of the diverse dimensions of our individual and collective lives, and thus of global governance. The concept of security has to be fought in both active and passive modes, taking into account the threats posed on infrastructures and services by external factors such as climate-related or environmental disasters, and also the threats posed by the same infrastructures and services to the natural, human, urban, or rural environments if malign and criminal activities transform them into weapons of mass disruption or mass destruction. Cybersecurity is now a requisite for the sustainability of our civilizational choices. Therefore, cybersecurity must be clearly perceived by leaders and by the public opinion at large as the fundamental component for securing the global and holistic transformation on which our survival, our prosperity, and our peaceful living depends. As long as we have robust democratic societies and institutions, cybersecurity can be controlled and disciplined to serve citizens towards the common good. But if we fail on cybersecurity, cyber attacks will have the potential to harm or destroy anything, anywhere, anytime. In front of such a cataclysmic risk, the world needs a collective cyber intelligence capability. Cyber securing the world is a growing and daunting challenge, an attempt to maintain a resilient order in a world of disorders. Cooperation in the field of cybersecurity is essential to pursue multilateral disciplines and solidarity beyond rivalries and antagonisms, as cyber threats represent a global and existential peril with disruptive and destructive potentials comparable to the ones of major pandemics, climate change, and natural or man-made disasters. With its intrinsic, cooperative, and transnational nature, and with its universal reach in a smart world in the making, cybersecurity embodies the very essence of resilience in the 21st century, the ability to tackle emerging threats, asymmetric aggressions, rapid change, and the fragmentation of the international system through the build-up of a collective intelligence. The interconnected nature of threats and the interdependence of international actors accentuate the impact of the perils, as the weakening of multilateral disciplines and solidarities makes powers less and less powerful actually when they face systemic and existential threats. The world is now a cyber ecosystem, from the Internet of Things to the 4.0 industry, from the spread of artificial intelligence to the immersion of daily life and social life in the flow of digital contents and networks. Cybersecurity, therefore, gains a central and unique status in global governance with profound implications for politics, diplomacy, and social transformation. It has to evolve from a security perspective into a societal grand vision where it is recognized and managed as the ultimate guarantor of peace, stability, prosperity, and fundamental multilateral rights such as the right of universal access to energy and all other rights defined in multilateral agreements and declarations which are more and more threatened by the risk of massive disruption and attacks. This is why, in my view, we can only encourage the inclusion of cybersecurity in the multilateral framework with confidence building as the key driver. Several plurilateral initiatives took place in the past decade, acting as building blocks towards an effective multilateral regime and ultimately an international cybersecurity organization and law that would represent the key contribution of cyber diplomacy to our international architecture. These initiatives took different forms, such as the Global Conferences on Cyberspace or London Process, and the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, which, as you know, is the first international treaty on crimes committed via the Internet, or the United Nations-backed group of governmental experts, UNGGE, on developments in the field of information and technical communications in the context of international security, which proposed norms in international cyber activity that have been already agreed by 20 governments. There were difficulties impossible to overcome at this stage. For example, the GGE noted the inherent right of a state to take measures consistent with international law and the UN Charter without expressly mentioning the right to self-defense or Article 51 of the UN Charter. It is precisely when we reach specific language and normative status in international law that diplomacy in general and cyber diplomacy in this case is tested to the maximum. But the dynamics of the multilateralization of cybersecurity has started, and its true challenge is less the end result than the speed at which it will evolve, running against the clock under fast proliferating new threats. The European Union Council welcomed the work of the GGE, and that the 2013 report stated that international law, in particular the Charter of the United Nations, is applicable to the cyberspace and is essential to reduce risks and maintain peace and stability. The European Union also welcomed the adoption of a first step of cybersecurity confidence building measures in the OSCE framework. Another challenge for multilateral cyber diplomacy is to address the link between cybersecurity and development in the context of our global agenda for the implementation of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. Cybersecurity affects not only all of them, but every agency and program of the United Nations. It is an issue of importance to both developed and developing countries, which must all ensure a safe and secure cyberspace for their citizens. Cyber diplomacy must mobilize competencies and funds to design and spread training programs in developing countries to create a much-needed critical mass of skilled personnel as cybercriminality and cyber attacks proliferate, thus further increasing the obstacles for socio-economic development. The United Nations called for the establishment of a global culture of cybersecurity, which can only emerge through multilateral efforts and solidarity. But in the case of cybersecurity, solidarity benefits the giver as much as the receiver. No country or part of the country should be let to become a nest for organized cybercrime. The rhythm of multilateral diplomacy is by nature very slow, mainly because multilateral negotiations are consensus-based. In the case of cybersecurity, it is even more difficult, the issue being rather new, complex, cross-sectoral and transnational, in very sensitive areas where sovereignty still is seen as critical. However, cyber diplomacy does not have the luxury of time. It has to reinvent diplomatic negotiations and interstate relations, integrating the speed factor. One more incentive to accelerate global cyber diplomacy would be a broader recognition of security as serving the common good by protecting fundamental rights, social life, prosperity and peace, and the equivalent recognition of cybersecurity in itself as a public good. Public goods include defense and security in the common understanding of this notion. When public goods are of such universal value and societal benefit that they are confounded with the public good, they are named global public goods, and therefore they are identified with the common good. Security is indeed a global public good when it protects all aspects of a dignified life as per its definition through the multilateral treaties and declarations which have served to improve human condition in the past decades. Our societies must understand that security is not a threat, security is the guarantor. According to the 1994 UNDP Human Development Report, the 7 dimensions of human security are economic security, food security, health security, environmental security, personal security, community security, and political security. All these essential dimensions of human life, which are protected by the norms of the international community, are now under attack by cyber threats. Cyber diplomacy in the 21st century has a special responsibility to address this societal dimension of the concept of security. The United Nations Millennium Declaration of September 2000, signed by more than 180 states, underlined the societal and indivisible nature of good global governance in solemn terms. We, head of state and of government, recognize that in addition to our separate responsibilities to our individual societies, we have a collective responsibility to uphold the principles of human dignity, equality, and equity at the global level. We must now translate this statement into a universal norm of good governance through revived multilateral disciplines and solidarity. This implies a creative diplomacy fit for our new challenges. Cyber diplomacy has an important role to play in putting this vision into practice, becoming a new paradigm for convergence and contribution. Cyber diplomacy can help maintain a resilient international order in an era of growing disorders. For this, we must conduct a cultural revolution where security in its holistic dimension is viewed as a common good and where cybersecurity is governed as a public good. Thank you very much for your kind attention.